Hey, welcome everybody. François Letap for my role-playing game channel. And well, I will talk to you about the game I've played the most for the last year. And a game that I came to enjoy a lot. This is a game I was bringing with me when I was doing high school role-playing game event, which I did on lunchtime for mostly all of the school year. And this is the most played. The second most played game I've done is Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and it was again for high school. I didn't enjoy it that much. I can't find my way in having fun into D&D 5, but it's really not my favorite game. Definitely not in my top 10 or top 20. It's a good game, but it's not my cup of tea. The game I want to talk to you about is a French role-playing game, and I have never thought that a D&D-like game would enter my interest so much. This is a French role-playing game. I doubt it will ever get in English, since the offer is wide in English for D&D-like games. So why having another one? But in France, this is a big one, and it's called Chroniques, oubliées. Well, translating that is Forgotten Chronicles. So this is a D&D type of game that came out about 2010, 2012, if I'm correct. Maybe not this version. This is some sort of a definitive version of the first edition, because they announced that next year there will be a second edition. So just to show you, this is a 3.5 OGL. They say compatible. Well, they have changed a lot of things into it. That's the publisher, Black Book Edition, and Casus Belli. So Casus Belli is a French role-playing magazine. Just to tell you a little bit about this, me in the 80s, in my need to know everything about role-playing games, this was the magazine to read. We had the occasion to have that into some magazine shops, okay, around town. So I've read mostly all of them from mid 80s through the 90s. This was a great role-playing magazine, okay. It was way before internet, so they had a lot of information. It was well made. They had supplements, game adventures to all sorts of games, all sorts of reviews, and go see that movie, okay, that type. It was a very generous magazine. So when this game came out, it's because there was some sort of a gap in France with games that were to introduce new game masters and players, okay. Yeah, for a D&D type of game, to be precise, they had that French Dungeons and Dragons box, but it was kind of sold out and it wasn't in reprint. So Casus Belli and Black Book Editions decided, well, let's do an introductory game. And they took the OGL and made something out. And it had a huge success. Okay, this game is very well made. Of course, it is meant to be presented to new game masters, but I found out that this game was giving way more than it was intended. In France, this is a big hit. Okay, this is a big selling one. They are a big, they're really against Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder in terms of popularity. This is one of their most successful fantasy game, and it is a French-based one, so it's a huge success. There's not much. There's a lot of book with adventures and setting books. Basically, this is the book you need. Everything is in there. There's the bestiary, the game system, and a lot of options, which makes it very cool. There's another book called The Companion, which adds up some other options that I have that book. It's a very interesting book. So it looks like a lot. Dungeons and Dragons. It can just show you the character sheet. It looks like something you saw. Okay, so you have your basic stats, your attack bonus, hit dice, defense, okay, all your weapons. And this is where they differ from other versions of that 3.5 line. They don't have skills anymore. There's no skill list in there. You have your basic stats modified by your race, depending on what you're taking. And then you choose what they call profiles, but these are the classes. But there's something very, that can be a little customized. There's something customizable about that game. So how does this work? So you have your basic stats, and then you choose your profile. I think I'm repeating myself. And then with the profiles comes 5 voices. I can show you. There's 3 voices there that you can write down what they are. And is there some others? No, that's the only sheet we have. Okay, because I'm used with the PDFs found on the internet. Okay, every profiles comes with 5 voices. The voices themselves, have 5 levels of capacities that you can unlock. It's sort of like a feeds tree, okay? So in a single voice, if you are interested in having the 3rd level of that voice, well, you have to unlock the 1st and the 2nd level, even though you maybe not have a big interest in those 2s, you have to. That's how the game is sold. Maybe it's a little downside of it, but at the same time, around the table, it didn't bother much my players. So yeah, if you want to unlock some of the capacities, and you need to be at least the level of the capacity. So if you want to unlock a 3rd level capacity in one voice, your character has to be a 3rd level character. And when you unlock them, the first 2 levels of capacities are cheaper to buy. So you have a lot of low level capacities to start with, but every time you add from the 3rd level capacities up to the 5th level, while they are a little more expensive. You spend all of your point you receive when leveling up to buy a capacity, only one, if you want to get 3 and beyond. Of course, if your character has got past the 5th level, well, they can buy anything they want, as long as you respect the order of the capacities, the order in levels. What do I love about this game? Well, it really responded to a need that I had from running role-playing games for teenagers. I had high demand for Dungeons and Dragons. I did some because that's what they really wanted, but at the same time I was saying, well, do they really know what they want? They wanted the name on the book. But from my own experience, D&D 5 was a way more complicated to run than this. This is very easy to run, okay? On the Game Master side, the rules has been stripped down. You are far from 3.5 or even Pathfinder, okay? Even if the basic is from that OGL, this is pretty basic. You do stats check, okay? There's no skills. Though you can claim some bonuses if a voice, because every voices have a name, so you can claim a bonus saying, well, I have 2 points in the voice of honor, so can I impress more the king? I have a bonus on that. So there's a way to the players to claim and be creative and say, to make their claim and have arguments to say, well, I can have a bonus because I have points in there. So you're not with a fixed skill stat, but you can kind of merge stuff from your sheet. The players will look at their sheet and think about what they can gain more. But on the Game Master side, it's very easy to run, okay? Well, of course, there's a little more rules for combat, but even the stats blocks of the monsters, there's somewhere a place where you can, there's a bestiary, but you can create your monster on the spot with that table, okay? You have the basic stats, okay? You want a fast creature that is a large fast creature. You have basically the stats that they suggest you. From that, you can change everything you can. There's a recipe if you want to add some capacities to the monsters and all of that. but it's very easy to run. They don't have the answer to every situation. So from the game master side, well, what I enjoyed while running this game is that I could do a lot of rulings, and without worrying, without having to worry, sorry about the pronunciation, but without having to worry about, well, if there's, is there a rule for that? Okay, is there something? I could make all sorts of rulings and calls and dice roll calls and be creative with that. I was having fun with that. Like an OSR game in a sense, you know, I like many of the OSR principles, and I like to apply them whenever I can. So this game was really enabling me to do that. On the top of that, the basic rules are pretty simple, but there are lots of options, and you have choices in those options. For example, there are rules for mass combat if I want to use them, and the chapter gives you two different sets of rules with two different views, one more narrative, the other one more strategic. So, and you can merge a little bit of those, both of them, or you can create your own. There's a lot of inspiration into that little book. Okay, there's a lot to take on. There's the magic in there. Well, I will come to the player's side, but if you are playing a magic using character, the spells looks like a little like superpowers if you take the basic rules, but you want more, you know, more spell slots, the spell points. They are calling that mana points. If you want to be more with a resource, you can have evasion magic. Okay, there's lots of options in order to use the magic in a different way to fit your vision on how the magic should work. And well, there's a lot of options. Sorry for the pronunciation. And that book, you know, has it all. And with the companion, you come with, you know, a huge set of options that you can take. You can flip through and take one and say, okay, that next session we'll try this because we're going to be in a mass battle or something like that. There are minion rules that are pretty cool in there. And I came up with a lot of my own house rules that fits pretty well. That game is imperfect, but that is some sort of fun imperfection where I can, you know, I can model myself, okay, like mud. All right, on the player's side, and that is one of the winning thing about this one. It's that on the player's side, they have the voices and their capacities. And I've found on the internet someone who has made character sheets with all the voices and the capacities written down on them already. They don't have to search in the book, it's all on their sheet. And you have the basic profiles and you have the hybrid profiles that, you know, it's kind of multi-classing that you can get at first level, okay? You kind of mix down some voices and make a new character concept. And on the player side, they have all the rules that they need. Okay, I don't have to remember them all, though with practice I will come to be more easy with that. But on their side, they have all they need. Okay, they want to do a cool move because the teenagers wants to do something special. So yeah, I'd like to, you know, let's say I'd like to make my big charging attack. So he has a rule that makes his charging attack special. So they recall me what is the rule. So they kind of trigger some of the stuff. Okay, the basic sheet is easy for them too, but at the same time they have their own special rules to do their special stuff. And that is pretty cool. I got very exciting games using this one. Okay, I had great role-playing moments, high fantasy moments, and that is something that is amazing me with that book. It does, because basically I'm not a big high fantasy fan. Okay, but I came to like the genre because of this. Probably because the way the game is made, with the freedom, the kind of freedom that I'm comfortable with, that it gave me. And I'm having fun doing high fantasy this way. So yeah, that's why that game came rapidly to be in my top 5 favorite game these times around. And to tell the truth, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. I never thought that this game would hit that hard. It's been a long time since I've heard of this game and what it was meant for. And just never got interest before because I was already in something else. And I've tried out other fantasy games, high fantasy games that had some sort of success. But when I came to find another game that has special needs to it, being easy for me, and having all of the cool rules on the player's side, then I discovered this one. And really, this is a great game. That's why I think this game has a way more to offer, because you can play with the game a lot. I think the only setback, like I said, is the voices themselves are limited. Well, you have 5 of them for every profile, every classes. But in one voice, you have to unlock all of the capacities in order if you are interested in one of them. And if you don't take prestige voices at some point, all your 5 voices will be full if you reach level 20, if you ever reach that. But so if you take, let's say, a warrior, and you take 2 warrior and they adventure together up to the 20th level, well, their sheets will be mostly identical because they will have unlocked all that they have, unless they took a prestige voice along the way to make some variety, which is pretty cool too. There's a lot of options when it comes to prestige voices. You can have prestige voices for your race, for, if of course, your class or something else, or some events that happen in the campaign. So for a level-based hit point kind of armor class and all of that game, well, I think it's the first one that really hit the target for me. Chroniques, oubliées. Hope it was clear. So yeah, I wanted to share you that. So any questions, comments, leave that below. François Letarte for my role-playing game channel, and up to next time, I hope you have as much fun in your life as in your games. Goodbye.